Here is Introduction to the Philosophy of the Human Person, Quarter 1, Module 9, The Human Person in the Environment. The relationship between man and the environment has been established since the early years of mankind. Human beings live in the kingdom of nature and interact with it constantly. The gift of nature in the form of the air we breathe, the water we drink, the food we eat, and the flow of energy and information that we experience every day truly keeps mankind at pace. Any undesirable modification in the environment can not only result in devastating effects on the environment but also pose a threat to the human race. A forest or vegetation without human intervention is in a state of orderliness. Once humans interact to manipulate it and domesticate plants and animals, it changes up to that extent noticeable to the degree of disorderliness, and thus, problems in the forest start to occur and result in ecological backlash. What is the world made of? A superior human and an environment to live in, one has its own role to perform. And the world is in the process of change. The speculation of the pre-Socratic philosophers represents a paradigm shift, a change from the mythical explanation of the origins of the cosmos to a more rational explanation. Eastern sages probed nature's depths intuitively through the eyes of spiritual sages, which Greek thinkers viewed nature through cognitive and scientific eyes. These thinkers were looking for the underlying laws of nature. They wanted to understand the processes of nature by studying nature itself, and not by listening to the stories about the gods. Changes occur as the degree of disorderliness. The more disorder in the system, the more environmental problems we will meet, the more order in the system, and the more sustainable Earth will be shared. This module shall instill awareness in the learners of the real score happening in our society and the environment that we live in and the damaging changes that we believe contribute to the betterment of mankind and the healing world. Take a journey and enjoy while learning. It will provide you with an insight into what is actually happening in us and in the world. Good luck! At the end of this module, you should be able to 1. Notice things that are not in their proper place and organize them in an aesthetic way. 2. Identify environmental disorders. 3. Give the importance of being systematic and resourceful. Now that you know your targets for the day, have a glimpse of the new words below, which may appear in this module. Aesthetics may be defined as the concepts of expression, representation, and the nature of art objects or beauty. Environmental disorders are often associated with an imbalance of nature due to changes in the environment and give rise to several problems and challenges for humankind. Theory is a supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. Environmental order refers to an orderly environment where human persons thrive best. PRE test. A. Multiple choice. Direction: read and answer each item carefully and write the letter of your answer on your journal. 1. Which of the following environmental disorder will affect marine organisms? A. Releasing hot wastewater from a geothermal power plant to bodies of water. B. Newly grown seedlings in the forest. C. Cleaning of a clogged canal or drainage. D. Burning of coal from power plants. 2. How can we organize aesthetically a mountain of garbage? A. Burn all the garbage. B. Dig a hole on the ground and bury all the garbage. C. Use incineration to dispose of the garbage. D. Sort out the garbage into biodegradable, recyclable, and toxic material. 3. Which of the following activities makes the degree of disorderliness to orderliness with nature? 1. Cleanup activities in the seashore. 2. Planting of young trees in the forest. 3. Burning of garbage in the landfill. 4. Patronage organically has grown plants and animals. A1, 2, 3b2, 3, 4c1, 3, 4d1, 2, 4. 4. Which of the following is the least productive way to protect the environment? A. Support and become a volunteer in an environmental campaign. B. Patronize locally environmentally made products. C. Eat and choose the right amount of food. D. Post and make placards for environmental awareness. 5. How can we organize aesthetically a denuded forest? A. Clear all the grass to plant more crops. B. Make a riprap to protect soil erosion and soil leaching. C. Collect different varieties of flora and fauna of the forest. D. Plant and replace trees that are being cut down. B. True or false? Direction: in your journal, write true if the statement is true and false if it is false. 6. Human plays an important part in nurturing the environment. 7. Environmental disorder results in the equilibrium of things. 8. Destroying nature is a reflection wherein few people overpower others while exploiting the environment for profit or self-interest. 9. People have a unique ability to cultivate nature, bringing it closer to their intended ends. 10. The early history of humankind shows that wherever humans came together to form communities, the landscape and the environment changed. Congratulations! You're done with the pre-test. Let us do more exciting learning activities. The first activity that you are dealing with will help you understand the topic. Learning Activity 1. Guess the meaning that implies. Directions: read carefully the quotes from different philosophers or famous people. Conclude on their beliefs about the environment and answer the guide questions that follow. Guide questions. 1. What common line of thought did you find out in the quotes? 2. How do these people view the relation between man and the environment? 3. How does man interact with the environment? 4. What do you think is the role of man in taking care of the environment? Learning Activity 2. Picture Perfect. Directions: the pictures below show a forest before and after the intervention of man. Compare the difference before and after human involvement by filling out the table. Guide questions. 1. What are the changes that take place before and after the intervention of man in the forest? Give an example. 2. What is your concept about an organized, beautiful, and artistic environment? 3. Give 3 examples of incidents that show environmental disorder that is common in your community. 4. How did you find the activity? Check square root from the given option. Learning Activity 3. The degree of disorderliness. The domination of humanity is linked to the domination of nature based on the anthropocentric model. An unfair or unjust utilization of the environment results in an ecological crisis. From this view, it follows that human arrogance towards nature is justifiable in order to satisfy human interests. Sometimes, humans adopt an exploitative attitude whenever nature is merely considered an instrument for one's profit or gain. Directions: analyze the following photos. Identify what environmental disorder is being shown in each photo. Write your answer in your journal. Activity 4. From disorderliness to orderliness. Directions: below are pictures showing disorderliness in the environment. Identify what kind of disorderliness is depicted in each photo. How will you organize them aesthetically? What should you do? List your suggestions on the box. Deepening. Below is information about different philosophers and their beliefs on the involvement of man in his/her environment. Read carefully and understand the text. Then, answer the guide questions. A. Ancient thinkers. Early Greek philosophers, the Milesians, regarded nature as spatially without boundaries, for example, as infinite or indefinite in extent. One ancient thinker, Anaximander, employed the term boundless to convey the further thought that nature is indeterminate, boundless in the sense that no boundaries between the warm and cold or the moist and dry regions are originally present within it. Creation and destruction. According to Anaximander's sketch of the genesis of the world, cosmogony, the evolution of the world begins with the generation of opposites in a certain region of nature. A portion of the boundless first differentiates itself into a cold moist mass surrounded by a roughly spherical shell of the warm dry. Once the warm dry has been separated out, surrounding the cold moist, it begins to evaporate the moisture of the latter, and this process forms a vaporous atmosphere. Eventually, the expanding vapor or steam bursts the enclosing fiery shells into rings, and, rushing outward, envelopes them. The opposite forces caused an imbalance that necessitated their ultimate destruction. What appears to us as heavenly bodies are in reality parts of the fiery rings that we glimpse through openings left in their steamy, vaporous envelopes. The revolution of the stars, sun, and moon around the central Earth in reality, the rotation of the vapor-enveloped rings of fire of the stars, sun, and moon around the central Earth is in reality the rotation of the vapor-enveloped rings of fire. Another ancient philosopher, Pythagoras, described the universe as a living embodiment of nature's order, harmony, and beauty. He sees our relationship with the universe as involving biophilia, love of other living things, and cosmophilia, love of other living beings. Perhaps, we could consider the early hymn as an ecologist. The Chinese cosmic conception, on the other hand, is based on the assumption that all that happens in the universe is a continuous whole like a chain of natural consequences. All events in the universe follow a transitional process due to the primeval pair, the yang and the yin. The universe does not proceed onward but revolves without a beginning or end. There is nothing new under the sun, the new is a repetition of the old. A human being's happiness lies in his conformity with nature or Tao, the wise therefore conforms with Tao and is happy. Medieval thinkers. St. Thomas Aquinas was one of a good representative of this traditional view concerning God's relation to creatures, and he argues, in various ways, that the metaphysical system which supports such attitudes is philosophically untenable, page 73. Furthermore, in his view Aquinas's metaphysic encourages us to be apathetic in the face of our contemporary environmental concerns, since according to Aquinas non-rational creatures do not have moral value and ultimate human destiny involves an escape from the world of material change. In The Nature of the Good against the Manichees, St. Augustine taught that all natural beings derive their goodness from God who created them. From nothing they differ in their degrees of goodness because of their natures and capacities to act. But the entirety of all creatures is better than any one type. Some natural beings may pose inconveniences for humans, he explained in Confessions, but they are nevertheless good both innately and as integral parts of the totality of God's creation. Furthermore, God will punish anyone who willfully harms or uses creatures for purposes that are not conducive to their natures as intended by God. The most systematic treatment of the physical world's goodness was provided by St. Thomas Aquinas. God, who is goodness, essentially communicated goodness in varying degrees to creatures when creating the world, endowing each with a nature and purpose in relation to others. All creatures are indispensable contributors to the functioning of the universe, bringing about its common good as intended by God. St. Thomas spared few superlatives when describing the goodness of the orderly universe that God created and sustains in existence. According to Niccolò Machiavelli, the link between the natural places and civic life that takes place isn't something absolutely default. Men's work, orders underpinning their collective life, and laws that place the compulsion of necessity by the behavior of citizens, change the data of nature. Although the structure of a territory unequally can be changed by the foundation of new cities, an aspect to which the ancients placed special care, distributing and multiplying the population through the colonies, as highlighted in a passage of great historical and geographical interest in Histoire Fiorentine. In this passage, the relationship between city and territory, human building, and natural habitat is configured as an action of civil institutions and the work of human groups on the rough and unhealthy hostility of the physical environment. This passage is a topical question, considering the importance of human action which helps to change the places for their livelihood. Already in the Renaissance, Machiavelli identified the importance of a geometrical virtuous model for the citizens and the institutions. See Modern Thinker. In his third critique, Critique of Judgment, Immanuel Kant expresses that beauty is ultimately a symbol of morality, Kant, 1997. According to Kant, we must ignore any practical motives or inclinations that we have and instead contemplate the object without being distracted by our desires, Goldblatt and Brown, 2010. For instance, one should not be tempted to plunge into the water in a seascape portrait. In a sense, therefore, the stance that we take toward the beautiful object is similar to that which we take toward other human beings when we are properly respectful of their dignity. The beautiful encourage us to believe that nature and humanity are part of an even bigger design. This sense of order in a beautiful object is not translatable into a formula or a recipe. Rather, the concept of a larger design, the belief in an ultimate goal in which every aspect of the sensible world has its place in a larger purpose, draws our thoughts toward a supersensible reality. Ultimately, Kant believes that the orderliness of nature and the harmony of nature with our faculties guide us toward a deeper religious perspective. This vision of the world is not limited to knowledge and freedom or even to faith, in the ordinary sense of the term. It is a sense of cosmic harmony. Many radical environmental thinkers proclaim that we are at a crucial point in our historical understanding of nature. To pass beyond our current period of environmental crisis, the story runs, we must relinquish the impoverished conceptions of nature bequeathed to us by the Western tradition for a richer, more spiritually satisfying account of the natural world and our place in it. Martin Heidegger would agree with this general project. On the one hand, he maintains that the modern devastation of nature is the result of the predominance of our modern technological understanding of the world, which, in turn, he sees as the culmination of the Western metaphysical tradition. Therefore, in his later writings on dwelling, he presents an account of a wholesome non-technological understanding of the world. Contemporary thinkers, theory of human nature, existence and essence, negation and freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre doesn't believe in human nature or essence that precedes individuals. Rather, our existence precedes our essence, we have to create our own essence. Nothing, not God or evolution, created us for any purpose other than the purposes we choose. Of course, Sartre recognizes that we are biological beings, but there are no general truths about what we should or ought to be. The most basic thing we can say about humans is that they are radically free, to be anything except to not be free. They can choose anything except choose not to choose. In his words, we are condemned to be free. Consciousness is also aware that it is not the objects it ponders, that many things are not the case, and that we lack many things. The concept of nothingness or negation relates to freedom for Sartre. For the ability to conceive of what's not the case I could have done that implies the freedom to imagine and choose other possibilities. In large part consciousness is this conceiving or desiring things to be different, not to be as they are. Negation implies freedom of mind and of action. Guide questions. 1. What is the belief in the creation of all things? 2. How do these beliefs of philosophers influence your point of view about life? 3. How does man affect nature and the environment? Application. A. Write your thoughts on the given passages. 1. The controlling attitude of humankind is extended to nature, when in fact, humanity is part of nature. 2. Destroying nature is a reflection wherein few people overpower others while exploiting the environment for profit or self-interest. 3. Fromm argues that as humans, it is also inherent in us to escape the prison cell of selfishness. B. How being systematic and being resourceful is important to organize things, not in order. Apply that trait in the following situation. 1. A mining corporation, in order to save expenses and production costs, did not construct a durable storage facility for mining waste, resulting in the accidental leak of toxic materials, polluting the nearby river, poisoning marine life, and causing people in the nearby village to get sick. 2. A wealthy businessman bought a large area of farmland and converted it into a subdivision. During the construction, hundreds of trees were uprooted and cut, and also the streams were covered with excess cement. Post-test. A. True or false. Direction. Write the letter T if the statement is true and F if it is false. Write your answer in your notebook. 1. People have a unique ability to cultivate nature, bringing it closer to their intended ends. 2. The early history of humankind shows that wherever humans came together to form communities, the landscape and the environment changed. 3. Human plays an important part in nurturing the environment. 4. Destroying nature is a reflection wherein few people overpower others while exploiting the environment for profit or self-interest. 5. Environmental disorder results in the equilibrium of things. B. Multiple choice. Directions: read and answer each item carefully and write your answer in the space provided. 6. Which of the following environmental disorder will affect marine organisms? A. Releasing hot wastewater from a geothermal power plant to bodies of water. B. Newly grown seedlings in the forest. C. Cleaning of clogged canal or drainage. D. Burning of coal from power plants. 7. How can we organize aesthetically a mountain of garbage? A. Burn all the garbage. B. Dig a hole in the ground and bury all the garbage. C. Use incineration to dispose of the garbage. D. Sort out the garbage into biodegradable, recyclable, and toxic materials. 8. Which of the following activities makes the degree of disorderliness to orderliness in nature? 1. Cleanup activities in the seashore. 2. Planting of young trees in the forest. 3. Burning of garbage in the landfill. 4. Patronage of organically grown plants and animals. A1, 2, 3B2, 3, 4C1, 3, 4D1, 2, 4. 9. Which of the following is the least productive way to protect the environment? A. Support and become a volunteer in an environmental campaign. B. Patronize locally environmentally made products. C. Eat and choose the right amount of food. D. Post and make placards for environmental awareness. 10. How can we organize aesthetically a denuded forest? A. Clear all the grass to plant more crops. B. Make a riprap to protect soil erosion and soil leaching. C. Collect different varieties of flora and fauna of the forest. D. Plant and replace trees that are being cut down. Assignment: conduct an interview with an elderly in your household or neighbor. Let he/she compare the experiences he/she had with the present environmental situation from 30 years before. Take note of the major changes cited by your interviewee. Here are the key to corrections. Check your work as honestly as possible.